Hello, one and all. This is my review of My Hero Academia, Chapter 257. Pass it forward to whomever. And right off the bat, I'm a little concerned about what All Might said here. He couldn't find anything in the second or third users, and that just worries me. That's ended up being a cop out. Like down the road, Deku's gonna be in this fight. He's gonna be losing. It's gonna be like, oh no, all hope is lost. Then, what do you know? This quirk that I didn't know I had just happened to be the exact thing I needed to get me out of the situation. How convenient! I mean, his author has shown he's a fairly good writer, and I don't think he'd do that. At the same time, though, I'm just kind of worried that's going to, ruin any of the tension in the future fights. Because even it looks like Deku is losing, at least part of the back of our minds are thinking, well, we still don't know what his other two quirks are. Maybe they'll save him this time. I also have this theory that he might actually have his own quirk. Like Deku was born with a quirk, but then the doctor stole it. And I'm not sure if the timeline fits properly, but that could have been the regeneration quirk that saved All for One. I'm going to go back and check the dates and all that to see if I'm right, but if I am, that could be a whole separate video. Just a thought moving forward. Anyway, yeah. So that's 3 potential quirks Deku could unlock that could do literally anything at this point. But we'll see what happens with that. And then we get some very disturbing news about One For All. Essentially, its past users weren't the strongest, they weren't the symbol pieces, they weren't this or that, they were literally nobodies. Just the people who happened to be there when the power needed to be passed on. And as a result of it, they all died young. They got the power, fostered it for a brief period of time, and then when All For One came for them and they were, nearly murdered because of it, they had to pass it on very quickly to the next person and tell them, you, go forward, I'm passing on the torch to you, run, now! And this could actually explain why so little is known about the past users, why All Might had such trouble looking up anything about them. Simply because the master never really had much time to teach a student, if you could even call them a student. So for a good chunk of these users, they just became, the vessel for One For All with almost no explanation on what it was or who was after them or who came before them or anything like that. And yet they still carried on the torch. They still fostered the power. They still held it within them as long as they could. And then when all hope seemed lost, when All For One came for them, they passed it on to the next person. Anyway, Deku's next quirk, drumroll please, is float! And I have a lot of questions about exactly what that means. I mean, he said float, not flying, not flights, but float. Does that mean it's like Uraka's quirk then, where he can just cancel off gravity's effect on him so he can, jump in the air and just not fall back down? Or can he, totally change his direction mid-air? I mean, I think on his own he could probably fly if it just float, he floats into the air, cancels gravity, and then just uses mini punches or whatever to start flying in whatever direction he wants to go in. A little harder to control, but he could definitely handle it. I'm just curious about something right here. I mean, flying and super strength, that's straight up Superman right there. Whereas Lariat's Black Whip quirk, it actually says, because of the strings of energy he could shoot out, he was well suited for binding enemies and maneuvering in midair. That's Spider-Man right there. That is absolutely 100% Spider-Man. I mean, it was said that the creator is a huge fan of American comics, comic book characters. So could it be he's giving Deku all the abilities of his favorite heroes? I mean, if that's the case, what other quirks could Deku have? Mind reading, like Martian Manhunter? Energy objects, like Green Lantern? I mean, he basically is Batman, just with less of a tragic backstory and less money. But Flash, that could be interesting right there. I mean, I don't think you get, super speed or anything like that, because then, what would Ida do? But imagine Deku able to accelerate his thought process to 100, 1,000 times what it normally is. Just imagine those Deku moments then, He's writing his journal, he fills up entire books in the span of a few seconds. Or mid-battle, he's trying to figure out what to do, what's the best strategy to use here, and he's, watching the enemy come at him in slow motion. He's like, alright, so I have quirk A, B, C, and D, he has quirk F, I can do this, let me do some quick physics calculations here. Essentially have, a Senku moment from Dr. Stone. I think it'd be a really cool power for him to have, and it'd work so well with his, mindset already. The fast, quick thinking he does, accelerate a million times over. Really hoping we see that. But whatever quirks he gets, I'm sure they'll be absolutely amazing. I'm a little confused on why they're sure that that's the power Deku is going to get next, the power to fly. I mean, All Might's master was the last quirk user. I mean, they're clearly not going in order because, Black Whip came before her, And he was not the first or second user, so what exactly is happening here? Not sure why they assumed Flight's gonna be the next one. Maybe they said, alright, Deku, that's the one you should focus on next. And maybe if you believe in it hard enough, it'll actually happen. And then we just get a really great Deku and Bakugo moment here. I mean, yes, they're still fighting like they always do, but it's way different. I mean, at the beginning of the series, whenever Bakugo would start screaming, Deku would quietly say, no, Bakugo, that's not right. Or just cower in fear. And then later on, when Deku started standing up for himself, Bakugo just got more and more angry about it. But here it's like general taunting back and forth, and I just think it's really nice. Bakugo also says something really interesting about how he already knows how to fly using his quirk. I'm sure Deku already has pages written on how Bakugo flies and how he can use it for himself. I'm a little curious if he's going to learn anything from Araka on this, on how to fly and all that. I mean, I'm sure she has some lessons. I'm just kind of debating what the difference is between their quirks at this point. Float versus zero gravity. I'm guessing, Deku can only make it work on itself, while she can make it work on anything she touches. Which still gives her, relevance to the series. Her power isn't, overwritten by Deku's being that much better than hers. Which, still gives her quirk some meaning in the series. I could think of a dozen different scenarios where her quirk would save the day, while Deku's quirk would do absolutely nothing. But we'll see about that, so I'm very curious. Anyway, then Deku and Bakugo go back to the dorm, and oh my god, this moment right here is absolutely freaking amazing. Bakugo sees how Todoroki cut up the chives, and his response, your big sis would cry if she saw this! Oh my freaking lord. I mean, that's just such an absolutely perfect line, and I have so many questions about Bakugo's cooking skills. Anyway, then they all have a big work, study, brainstorm, hot pot party to fire us all up for the new term. And this actually reminds me a lot of just the Christmas party they had not too long ago. I'm guessing, if I remember correctly, that was right before the My Villain Academia arc, so that was a good 20-30 chapters, but it feels like it was very recent in terms of the story. Just all these little moments between the characters. Ida's like smiling, waving his arms. Like he's definitely developed the whole freeform character thing. I love that Froppy saves Mina from falling over. And once more, Ojiro is the only one who interacts at all with Invisible Girl. And they're just talking about, final exams, and how in a few short months they're going to become second-year students. And I'm really excited for that, mainly just because, second term means the sports festival is coming back. I don't know what the plan is for the series moving forward, but I really, really want a follow-up to the sports festival. I think it'd be like a great epilogue to the series, just all the characters showing off how much more powerful they've become since year one. People in the crowd just being like, wow, I can't believe how much stronger he's got. Is that the same kid that kept breaking all his bones last year? What happened to him? I just think it'd be absolutely amazing. I'd really love to see that. Hell, maybe even some rematches. Oh my god. Uraka versus Bakugo round 2. Oh, I would love that. I still think she would lose, but I think it would be a much closer fight than it was last time. I was making a comment how the first years are going to show up soon, but they don't actually have clubs or anything, so they won't interact with the first years. I am curious about that. It's another, 40 students. I kind of doubt the author's going to design, 40 new students for this, but, 2 or 3 of them are interesting, unique, or something. They could definitely find their way into the activities class 2A and 2B are doing. I'm not sure about that, but we'll see. I just love this little scene right here, where Dark Shadow is laughing, but Tokoyami isn't. Oh my god, just so funny seeing, the difference between their characters, despite them, essentially being the same person. As all this is happening, Deku just has to take a moment and think, wow, I've come so far. I can't believe this is where I am now based on where I started, and I'm just so blessed to be here. That's just a really great moment for him. To really step back and realize how far he's come. I really like that. Anyway, then over to Aizawa and All Might, and apparently Aizawa's going to start training Eri next week. Oh, I'm excited for that. I am really excited for that. I mean, there's a lot of fan art of her basically becoming the next Eraserhead, and I personally wouldn't mind a whole spin-off series just on Eri's training with Aizawa. I think it'd be absolutely freaking adorable. And this just leads to a really great moment between Aizawa and All Might. I mean, is this like the first good moment between them? Holy mother, I think it actually might be, yeah. They've never really interacted without Aizawa, basically insulting him for being reckless or whatever, but here, they're actually having a good moment together. Wow. I didn't actually realize that until right now, how significant this really is. All Might's basically just saying, I don't know what to do anymore. I used to be the symbol of peace. I used to keep this entire freaking country running like clockwork, and now, what exactly am I here for? What exactly am I supposed to do? I mean, I love that he made the, notebook for Deku explaining all the other quirks that he could find, but, that's not the same as going in and beating up every villain in the city in under 2 minutes. And he's always reminding him, you're here to support them. You're here to give them advice. You're here to just give them the push in the right direction they need. That's enough for now. And this is followed up by a very strange line. It's a message from Tsukuchi. He wants you to delay seeing Stain. Yeah, All Might is gonna go visit Stain, the hero killer Stain, the guy that wanted to kill every hero except All Might. I think he's gonna have a lot of questions about All Might's withered body. Does he even know about All Might's withered body? I have so many freaking questions about that. Then we get a very significant time skip to March, which I'm a little upset about because there's a lot going on, like right here, right now, that I want to see more of. Deku learning to fly, him explaining to his classmates why he can suddenly fly, Aries training. Again, I want a whole spin-off on Aries training. But the most important thing is, that day, heroes vanished from the city, and I don't know what that means. Are they saying, like, all the heroes suddenly vanished, they have no idea why? Are they saying some of the heroes were, kidnapped by the Doctor? Are they saying some of the heroes went to join the League of Villains, whatever it's called now? Does it mean a whole bunch of heroes suddenly went off to attack League of Villains? What does that line mean? I literally have no idea. Alright, so yeah, next chapter, I guess a time skip, It's gonna be Deku learning to fly, Eri after 3 months of training. Maybe they'll just finish their final exam, something like that. I'm really not sure what to expect. Like I said, a little upset about this time skip because I feel like they're, skipping over a bunch of really important stuff right now, but just have to wait and see what happens. Anyway, let me think it all down below. Be sure to like, subscribe to the next video, and until then,
peace.